Hi everyone, welcome back to another Tanner Miller video. So what we have here is an iPhone 8, which at first glance it looks like it's in perfect condition, but looking a little closer you can see that there is a little bit of adhesive sticking up from the screen, which clearly means that dust and water can get in much easier, so we definitely need to replace that. And then if we turn it over to the back, you can see it is totally shattered. So in this video we're going to be fixing it up as well as putting in a new battery. So if you've seen me fix the back glass on my iPhone 10 that I used to have a while back, you'll know that I just heated up the back right away, but I've since learned that that is not a good idea because when you're applying that much heat to the back, you can damage components and whatnot. So even if you're doing a glass-only repair and you're not replacing the housing, you still should take out the motherboard and the battery. I decided to do a glass-only repair to save a little bit of money because the housing was in good condition anyways, but you'll see later in this video that maybe that wasn't the best idea. But anyways, right here I'm just removing the display, and surprisingly there wasn't too much dust in between. I thought with the adhesive peeling up that there would be. I also thought it would definitely have been opened before since the adhesive is like that, and while it certainly might have been, it doesn't look like anything is not original, and even 3U Tools says all the parts are original, so I don't really know what went on here. Maybe someone opened it for another reason and didn't actually replace anything, but if not, that's very bizarre that the adhesive just started peeling up like that. Since this screen is an original Apple display with absolutely nothing wrong with it, I'm being very careful to not stretch the cables too much, which is why I have it propped up against my container of isopropyl alcohol while I remove the connections. Also, I really don't know why my camera was trying to focus on the isopropyl alcohol and like overexposing the heck out of it. Sorry about that, I really have no idea why I was doing that. But anyways, I'm just going to disconnect the display so we can move on to the logic board and the battery. Why I'm removing the Taptic engine, and while I technically don't need to do that to get the logic board and the battery out, you can't really access the battery tabs, so in order for me to remove the battery as safe as possible, it's a good idea to remove the Taptic engine on the iPhone 8. Rather than remove the battery now, I'm actually going to remove the logic board first, and that's mostly because the top adhesive strips you can't really access with the logic board in. Now if you're just replacing the battery, this really isn't a big deal. As long as you get the two bottom ones out, those top ones, you should just be able to lightly pull and it won't damage the battery too much and it shouldn't be much of a safety risk. But at the time I wasn't sure if I wanted to replace this battery, and even though I decided to replace it, I might still use it. So I didn't want it to be bent or anything, as that could be dangerous. So I just was removing everything first so I can get the battery out as safely as possible without it bending. And now I'm just removing a bunch of tiny pieces that are holding the logic board down. There's just a few more small pieces I have to remove before I can get that logic board out. Finally, after removing several screws, the logic board is free to remove, and now that the logic board is removed, we can access all of our battery tabs. So now I can begin to remove the battery. So I hear a lot of people complaining about how difficult it is to remove these, and while I think that's justified and Apple should have a better system, there are a lot of techniques that you can learn that make this a whole lot easier. In fact, I just watched a video recently that I will link in the description by The Art of Repair, and he taught me something that I didn't know, even though I've been doing this for a long time, that helps sometimes when it is giving you a lot of resistance in the beginning. because the current method I was using worked great, but sometimes there would just be a lot of like resistance at the very beginning, and I didn't know how to get it started. But after watching his video, I almost always can get it to work now. So yeah, I'm gonna link that in the description. I definitely recommend checking that out because it's helped me a lot. As you can see, I got all of the battery tabs out without much hassle, so now we can just remove the back glass. This requires an extreme amount of heat, as I mentioned earlier, and this is sped up a lot. This took a very long time, especially because it was only a little bit cracked. There's actually special tools for this job that let you crack the glass more, which actually helps you remove it. And you can see I'm trying to crack it with this metal tool, which kind of worked, but yeah, this is an extremely tedious process and just made a complete mess along the way.
What I have to clean up now. It's all over, on the back too, on the floor.
So I did accidentally dent the wireless charging pad, and after asking people, they did say it was fine, but to just cover it with like Captain tape so it wouldn't, short out with anything. Although I did end up replacing it just in case, because I was able to get it for like $2 or something. But yeah, now there's just other things like the metal piece around the camera. I just have to break off some of the excess glass from, and then we should be good to put the new back glass on. So I'm not entirely sure why I decided to do this. I can't remember. I filmed this video a long time ago and I'm just getting around to editing it. But I decided to reassemble the whole phone before installing the back glass. Don't know why I did that. Probably didn't make much sense. I think the one reason is because I wanted to install the wireless charging coil first, of course, but yeah, I don't know why, but yeah, I just reinstalled everything else first and then did the glass. So you'll probably notice me doing things in an order that doesn't make sense, or me just undoing things I just did. Here's a good example. Like, I am trying to put the motherboard in, and then I'm like, oh wait, I need to do the wireless charger, and then I changed something with the rear camera, and I don't really remember why because I filmed this a while ago, like I was saying. But yeah, this was like my first time doing a full motherboard, full disassembly teardown of the iPhone 8, and whenever I'm doing this like for the first time on an iPhone, I do tend to do things in an order that doesn't make sense and then have to go back and redo them. So if you are wondering, why I'm redoing things or going in a weird order, that's why. It's just, it's not an iPhone I regularly do yet. So now with the logic board and small parts installed once again, I can install the new battery. With our new battery in place, we can now reinstall the screen. But first we have to remove the adhesive so we can install the new screen adhesive. This is very important because that screen adhesive makes sure that no dust gets in, and if you don't remove the old adhesive, even if there's just like a little piece left in, that is enough for dust to get in. So definitely this is one of the most important steps to make sure you clean it all off. With the frame looking clean, it is now time to clean off the screen. Since we are reusing the screen, we have to clean off the residue from that as well, and you do have to be very careful. I use isopropyl alcohol because it's like the only thing that gets the adhesive off. However, isopropyl alcohol, or any liquid in general, it's very easy for it to seep into the layers of the screen, which would cause permanent damage, so I have to use a lot less than I usually would. And just, I just put a little bit on a Q-tip. I usually like roll it around on a paper towel just so it's not super wet, and I also will use my fine point tweezers to sort of pick up adhesive as well. So that's not really a difficult step, but it is one you have to be careful of, and it's definitely annoying. So with that out of the way, we can begin the process to install the back glass. So before reinstalling the back glass, there are a few brackets I have to put back, and I also was just using a razor blade to scrape off a little bit more of that glue, which probably wasn't super necessary, but I wanted to make sure it would lay flat. Now here comes the painful part that makes me regret doing a glass-only repair. The glass I ordered, they had this double-sided tape on there already, pre-installed. Usually they'll include like a even weaker tape, but they won't install it for you. But they already annoyingly installed it onto the back glass, and it's not strong enough. I tried using it, and because of that, like usually they just will have a tape that goes around the sides, so even if it is installed, it's not that hard to rip off. But this double-sided tape goes like all over it, which is also stupid because it covers the wireless charging coil, which could damage it. But anyways, so I had to peel it up, but unfortunately it left a residue because it's pretty strong tape, but not strong enough because you have to use glue. So I ended up having to use like a Goo Gone and let it soak to remove all of that. It was very, very painful. This took probably like an hour or something. I did a lot of this off camera, so it looks pretty easy, but no, this was horrible. Definitely should have just bought a new housing, or at least bought a back glass that was not, that didn't have the glue or the tape pre-installed. So what I did is I just took some Goo Gone and spread it all throughout that back there, and let it sit for a while, and then I wiped it off several times. Again, this took a very long time, but eventually it was finally done and I could start to put glue on the housing to glue it on. So I always start by just following the patterns that Apple glued it on with, and then I just add a whole lot more because this glue is not as strong as the stuff Apple uses, so I'm going to have to apply a lot more. So you'll see me install this cracked screen in just a moment, and the reason I am doing that is because I use clamps to hold the back glass down so the glue can set, but I need something for the clamps to grab onto on that other side. So that's the only reason that screen is there. unfortunately, after doing all that, I realized I forgot to install a plastic bracket that goes around the microphone, so I had to remove the back glass and start all over, which means I had to remove all of this adhesive. So finally I had removed all of the glue, and so I was all ready to install the new back glass. So I put the clamps on, only to hear the horrible sound of the back glass cracking. I had tightened the clamps too much, and now I would once again have to start all over. Well, time for take 3, I guess. Now that the glue has dried, I can remove the clamps and clean off any excess glue that might have seeped out with isopropyl alcohol. Now that the back glass is finally ready to go, I can remove this test screen and I'm going to clean off the old adhesive. So we have to replace the waterproof seal that goes around the screen just to keep mostly dust out. It's not going to be super water resistant anymore, but to install that new adhesive, I do have to remove all of the excess adhesive. So as you can see, I'm just going around the edges with a Q-tip with isopropyl alcohol on it and just cleaning it off really good. And then I do the same thing on the screen. Although with the screen, you do have to be careful not to use too much isopropyl alcohol, because if you do use too much, it could seep into the screen itself. But yeah, so here you can see me installing the new seal, just pressing it down with the spudger to make sure it sticks well, and then I'm just gonna clean the screen off. Now all that's left to do is reinstall the shields protecting the connectors, set the screen down, and install the 2 Penelope screws at the bottom of the device. Now that the phone is fully reassembled, I'm just going to turn it on real quick and run a full diagnostics test to make sure that every individual function of the phone is still working. And we're done! This iPhone is now in perfectly working condition with 100% battery health, and the back glass is brand new, no cracks or anything, and it's still fully working. Anyways, thanks for watching this video. If you enjoyed, let me know in the comments below. If you didn't enjoy, also let me know. Let me know how I can improve. Let me know if you have any suggestions. Anyways, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in my next video.